All right. In this video, I want to talk about Bodo Hoenen again. Because, you can't just take a little bit of information and make a judgment call. Because if people were saying they think his videos is AI and his responses are AI. So I decided to, leave a comment and try to talk to him. And I found his responses to be, let's brighten this up a little bit, dismissive. And that could be because they're AI, but it could just be because he's a dismissive person, right? So he has a video here about end times, don't date set, but why not, right? So he asked the question, why not? So I figured I would tell him why not. And I made a video about it. I briefly covered up my video in a comment here to him. And he didn't give anything in this video to really justify setting a date. He didn't, all right? He spent the first couple of minutes talking about some things, but nothing that justified setting a date at all, right? So I left a comment saying here, I don't think you gave a reason to set dates. Seeing signs that Jesus is returning and sitting at his feet doesn't justify setting a date for his return. In fact, if you are at Jesus' feet, you should actually give a correct date, right? Now keep in mind, that's my first sentence, and he doesn't acknowledge it and respond to it, and he doesn't respond to what I say afterwards. I can give you a few reasons why not to do this. One, we are to reach unbelievers with the gospel, and this hinders that as they start to see us as fools. If we are so close to Jesus, why are we giving wrong dates? Secondly, you may not stop watching, but other Christians with less developed faith will. 3, many people are going through rough times, and you are giving them a roller coaster of false hope. Right? And his response is, I appreciate your perspective. I gave a thumbs up to that, but I was like, thank you, but that sounds dismissive. He basically just ignored what I said, right? I mean, if somebody came up to me and disagreed with me, and I was just like, I appreciate your perspective, I would say that because I don't care what they have to say. I don't want to engage with the conversation with them. I'm basically just smiling, going, have a good day, sir. Have a good day, ma'am. See ya. Right? And I'm just putting on a front, right? And it's one of those things where it's manipulative, right? You're kind of giving flattery, right? You're being nice, right? Because you're like, I appreciate your perspective, right? They're being kind to you, saying something nice about you, but they're ultimately just dismissing what you said, right? So then the response I get from that is a little bit more words, but just as dismissive, right? Because he doesn't address anything that I said. He just ignores it, which could be because of AI, like people are saying, but it could be that he is just a dismissive person, which either way is disheartening. But anyway, he says, I hear your points. I really do. Right? See, he's trying to make it sound like, I hear you. I listen to you. But you're not. Right? You're just dismissing it. That's what the default traditional response has been to me since I became a Christian 7 months back. Okay, well then how you respond to it? If you heard this 7 months back, you must have a certain response that you've got now where you can tell me what you tell them, right? But he doesn't. He just dismisses. He says, and I do get it. But on the flip side, right? So let's ignore what you said. I feel the Spirit. And this is one of those things you got to pay attention to where people say, I feel. It's a step worse than saying, I think, right? Because ultimately, especially when it comes to Christianity, it doesn't matter what you think, it matters what God says, right? Well, I think God would want me to do this and not do that. Well, but what does he say? Does he actually agree with that with his word? If not, it doesn't matter what you think. Oh, I feel that we should do this and not that, or not do this thing over here at all. Okay, does God's word align up with what you're feeling? Because if not, your feelings don't matter, right? But he says, I feel the Spirit. I feel the urgency in my spirit to share my testimony. What does that have to do with my comment? To not be like Martha, but rather like Mary, and to lean into what I feel Jesus is leading me to do. Okay, what does it have to do with the title of your video and my comment? The fruits of which have already been amazing. Both my kids, my wife, have come to Christ, and several friends are learning in too. Without this urgency in my spirit, everything else in my life could easily have taken priority. I appreciate your perspective. I've considered it, but it's not aligning with the pull in my spirit. All love and God's blessing to you. So, yeah. With the little error there saying are learning in too, I don't think AI makes those kind of mistakes, but I don't know. So it seems like his response. But he's like, oh, it's not aligning with the Spirit. So does it line up with the Word of God? Does it line up with objective truth, common sense? You're just dismissing what I said. All right? And it's very disrespectful. As I tell him, none of what you just said justifies setting dates or possible dates. It sounds dismissive again. And he doesn't respond because I think he sees that, the Spirit with me can see that he's being dismissive and just ignoring what I have to say, right? And this is basically how I feel talking to the majority of Christians who are setting dates. They just put on that fake smile. Oh, I'll pray for you. I appreciate your comment. I appreciate your concern. But I just feel like I don't really give a shit what you have to say, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do anyway. But I care. I'm truly listening. I truly care about you, though. And that's basically the response I'm getting. And this guy just kind of really encompassed all of that, right? Because what does he have to say here that justifies setting a date? Nothing in this video does. Nothing in his reply does. Right? And nothing here actually says that he actually even read the comment. Right? Right? His response has nothing to do with anything I said. Because if he says, oh, I appreciate your comment or perspective, there's nothing there that actually says he actually read it. He could just have that as an auto response. Right? And then he tries to sidetrack, oh, I got to share my testimony and all this. All right, yeah, go do that. No one's saying not to share your testimony. Go do that. But what does that have to do with any of this? Now I get why people would say AI. This is AI response. Because if this is him, he's a disrespectful, dismissive prick. So after this, I'm going to dismiss his channel, right? Anybody who's going to act like that, I'm not going to give him the time of day. I just did a video where I actually liked one of his videos. I didn't listen to his whole vision at the end of the video, though. But what he was saying about the churches, I thought there was some truth to his perspective that he was seeing. And I made a video encouraging it, that point of view actually lines up with the same things that I'm seeing. And, yeah. But this is just dismissive, right? Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but it just doesn't line up with what the Spirit in me is saying. Okay, what makes you think the Spirit with you is of God then? Peter says to be sure to give an answer to everybody who asks a question concerning your faith. But you're just dismissive here. This is a bad first impression. Like, this guy is in my shit house. So, yeah. I don't have a dog house. I have a shit house. This guy's in it. So, with all that being said, there's my 2 cents on this guy. I gave him a chance. I saw some truth there. But again, I didn't look at his whole vision. I heard him starting to talk about it. Seemed pretty interesting. But I didn't watch it all the way through. I'm not sure if it was a real vision or not. Ultimately, it doesn't matter if this is the kind of fruit of the Spirit we get from him, right? He's talking about this Spirit with him. If the fruit of the Spirit is dismissive, okay, I get why people are saying what they're saying about him. That this is AI. Yeah, I get why they say that. I'm not going to say he's AI. All right, if he's going to say he's not AI and this is his responses, all right, well then he's just a dismissive prick. That's my 2 cents on it. You may think I'm being rude. This here is rude. You think he's being nice here? This is rude. This is basically a form of gaslighting. You didn't give any reason to set dates. I appreciate your perspective. Okay. So you're not going to actually, counter that to show what you actually said that's the opposite, that actually proves that we should be? This is just some nonsense. But anyway, I'm done looking into this guy. I know I said that over and over. But sometimes I ramble on to vent and to see if there's anything that comes to mind that I want to say. Make sure it's all out of my system so I'm not like, oh man, I should have put that at the end. So thank you for dealing with the weird nonsense at the end of my videos. Yeah, I think that's that. I think it's all out of my system. Thank you for your time and attention. Watch out for these kind of people. Right? Like I was telling you, just because people say they're Christian doesn't mean they're Christian. Just because they say they believe the gospel doesn't mean they really believe the gospel. Right? You know them by their fruit. And, hey, this guy may... he just turned Christian 7 months ago. All right, cool. He's immature. But if this is the response I'm going to get, I'm going to treat him as an unbeliever. Because just because you're in a babe in Christ, this is how you respond, all dismissive like? No. Not at all, right? Especially where he mentions how there's division because of date setting and all this. This brings unity. To dismiss and gaslight people who are coming to you with actual inquiry and some objections that you should, I'm answering your question. Why not? I'm answering it, and you just dismiss it. Yeah, people have been telling me this for 7 months, and I never cared from the beginning. That's basically what I'm getting. So, this is not really much of a doctrinal video or anything like that. Not really preaching and teaching, feeding the sheep. So that's that for this video, right? I'm not going to do my normal spiel, but you should definitely pray, get into the Word, right? I will say that. And pray for discernment, right? Do any of you subscribe to this guy? Do you like his stuff? Because I'm willing to look at some of what people are showing to show that this is AI, or that my first suspicion when they were saying he's AI and that he was an atheist that recently turned Christian was that he's a atheist that made an AI version of himself and made it Christian to basically mess with Christians and to test their discernment and stuff, right? And a lot of Christians seem to be falling for it from what I understand, but others are not. So, I don't know. Again, I'm not going to say this is all AI. I'm going to just give him the benefit of the doubt, say he's not, and just say this guy's a prick. That's his first impression, right? These are the ones that really set the foundation. These are the ones that last. So, thank you again for watching. Take care. I'll see you in the next one. May God bless you and yours.